What up, though? It's your boy Willie Styles in the building. Welcome to tonight's show. It is April 5th, 2021. Smooth, you want to say what up?
What's going on, good people? You already know what it is. Here to have a great show tonight. Where everybody at?
No doubt, no doubt. Looks like we have a couple of folks down right now. I know Sunny says she's working on coming in a little late, and I think Dame had something come up, so he's probably going to be off tonight. So,
Okay.
shout out to Dame. We'll definitely see him later this week, I'm sure. And
Thursday, yes, sir.
for the fans' perspective, which is on Thursday at 10 p.m. So we're definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, tonight's show we have lined up is of the political and voting nature, and definitely want to start talking about this because this heated topic has been going on since way before elections last year, and definitely is a hot topic because there's a lot going on right now. So we call this is this really the new Jim Crow? So there's a lot of different laws that are being brought up in I think it's 47 states right now. The total currently is around 360 plus new laws that feel either restrictive or what they call voter suppression. And so what we're going to do is kind of break down what that all means, try to make it make sense to people who are unfamiliar with what voter suppression is, as well as what laws are being put into place or that they're trying to put into place that are going to cause some of this restrictions and make it harder to vote. So yeah, so that's what we're talking about tonight.
I was on mute. My fault. Didn't Dame send y'all a video?
That was
related to this.
That's for a different topic.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, what he did was telling me about was how there was the situation with Georgia when they were signing the first set of laws but the governor was signing them behind closed doors. And so the female senator was getting arrested for knocking on the door. She wanted to see that being signed. Shimlo said he's not going to be able to join us tonight. Feel better, bro. And there's Sonny. What up, though, Sonny? So we definitely have seen some blowback from that already in terms of that the Georgia laws that are being put into place. But like I said, there's 360 plus laws that are on the tables on the state Senate floors. Some have passed, one chamber and is in the next. Some have, I think there's 53 by last count on one of the sites I was reading through. There's 253 bills to restrict voting access, introduced in 43 states, and then there's at least 53 additional bills that have been introduced since February 9th. So of the 306 bills, 89% of those were sponsored entirely by Republicans, according to the bill tracking service Legiscan. So they have, the Republicans have been very busy trying to get these new laws into place. Basically, this all comes down from what they call the big lie, the steal the vote, where Trump felt like he was getting scammed out of his election. Like, he felt that, the Democrats were trying to steal the vote. And the big thing was they went to litigation before. Now this time they're fighting it with legislation. So trying to find any way to reduce the ability of people to in their opinion, to scam the system, right?
System, yeah. My issue with this is it's going to backfire because it's obvious now that you're being vindictive. You feel me? This has nothing to do with what's right or what's wrong. This all has to do with like you said, they feel like the big lie. They feel like the election was stolen from them. So now they're trying to do anything and everything, and for the future, in their minds, to stop people from voting, stop people from getting out there. Not being able to give water and stuff to people that's waiting in long lines. Like, that's just petty. You feel me? And I always say, you can't be petty and think you're going to come out successful at the end.
Right.
I mean, it's always going to come back and bite you in your ass. And I feel like this is going to strengthen the resolve of people who is already out there, like you and I, who already go out there and vote, but the newbies. You feel me? Because now they're going to see live and direct. Oh, they really trying to see. This not something like, that's why I like the title of the show. Is this really the new Jim Crow? Because, you feel me, they don't have to hear stories about back in the day when, they was trying to hurt us, stop us from voting. You got it live and direct 2021.
Exactly.
Live and direct 2021. You see it. So now it's like, oh, all right. This ain't the old Jim. This ain't Jim Crow.
Right.
This ain't that. You feel me? We learned from our ancestors. We learned from them. So now it's going to be a whole different ball game. You feel me? I feel like, if they're trying to make it the new Jim Crow, but it ain't going to work. It's just going to amp people up. It's just going to get people more riled up. Because I always preach to be politically aware. I think being politically aware is important. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be a political science major, but you should be aware, especially in your local area, about what's going on politically, because it affects you directly. So
and this is affecting people in so many states. I mean, it's not just Georgia.
Exactly.
It's definitely not just restricting water being given out at the polling place. And that was another reason I wanted to explore this topic, is because I kept hearing about was the water situation, right? And I kept hearing about voter suppression, and I was like, what does that really mean, right? What does that really mean? What are they doing? Because I was like, 306 laws doesn't sound like water to me. So there's got to be something more to this, right? So I was like, well, let me explore this a little bit more. Let me see what else is going on here. So what I did find was a couple of articles that basically broke down, just what's at stake here and what's happening with these different laws. And so this one is the biggest telltale right here. This one here talks about the different oops, I think I went too far with my zoom in. Back up a little bit. Yeah, here we go. So here it breaks down some of the biggest laws that are being passed that are affecting voting restrictions. One being absentee voting. There's a lot of laws being passed in all these different states that have to do with how absentee voting can be conducted, who can absentee vote, who can help people absentee vote, who can turn in absentee votes, how those votes can be turned in. So, and it's a lot. It's a whole lot. Like in one of the states, they were saying that they have it now where is it at? Kentucky. They have a bill where their governor and secretary of state can't change election laws in an emergency as they did last year to allow anyone to cast an absentee ballot amid the pandemic. So they had restrictions already on how their absentee votes could be given, or who could get absentee votes. And I think they did the same thing in my state in Michigan, where our governor changed the law and said, hey, by executive order, anyone can order an absentee ballot because we're in a pandemic, that kind of thing. So in Kentucky, Republicans are pushing so that the governor and secretary of state can no longer make an exception for absentee voting ballots in any emergency. Where is it at? Iowa. Yeah, there's they're giving voters less time to request and return absentee ballots. They cap the number of ballot boxes at 1 per county and prohibits people from returning someone else's absentee ballot. This one doesn't sound so bad. They're limiting to caregivers, family members, household members, which, you know, that gives you some leeway, some flexibility, right? I can think of a bunch of reasons why that will still be restrictive and will still be a challenge for some people, but, you know, at least they give that. There's one of these states where I think where is it at? Florida, I think it is. Yes, Florida, SB 90 only allows immediate family members to return another person's absentee ballot. That's like asinine. That's completely asinine, because I know so many older people who have no immediate family, have no brothers, sisters, mother, father. You know what I mean? Because that's what an immediate family member is. You know what I mean? It's your child, your parent, or your sibling. That's immediate family. So
I also see they trying to cut early voting.
Yes. Yeah. So you're talking about reducing the amount of days that are allowed for early voting, the number of hours. A lot of these states are reducing the number of hours or standardizing the hours because I think I'm trying to remember what state it was, but there's one state where they had their hours shifted, you know, on a week-to-week basis just to try to make it more flexible for people. But now they're like, no, they want to standardize these hours to reduce the amount of time that people have the ability to do or to turn in their absentee ballots. So there's a lot here when it comes to these absentee ballots and trying to keep people from being able to use that method of voting. Hey, Sonny, how you doing?
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's going on, Sonny? I didn't realize it was this hard to vote in Texas.
Yeah, they said Texas is one of the hardest places to vote in. They said they already they're talking about banning drive-through voting, requiring voters with disabilities to prove that they couldn't vote in person before they are sent a ballot, and then prohibit local officials from encouraging people to vote by mail even if they're eligible. Like, what kind of craziness? Like people need to be told certain things. People need to be encouraged. People need to be pushed, right? You know what I mean? Like giving those prompts, rather not pushed, but giving those prompts. And you're talking about in that state, they're like, no, we're not even gonna let you prompt them. If they don't know, they don't know. If they don't come, they don't.
Like, that's crazy. My thing is this though. Why are they so sure that this is gonna help them? You know what I mean? My thing is, it's a lot of shadiness on. You know, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, so you already know how I feel.
Right.
So it's like it's shadiness on both sides. So if they feel like the Democrats are being shady, they don't know how many Republicans was doing the same thing. Republican voters was doing the same. So it doesn't just hurt the Democrats. You know what I mean? It hurts them as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like, you feel me? It's obviously racial, you know, and that's why I said it's petty and it's blatant disrespect. It's blatant disrespect because they're telling us what they think of us.
Yeah,
they're telling us, well, if y'all put in rules, these folk not gonna follow rules. So we don't have to worry. Just make the rules harder and stricter. That's why I said earlier, to where I think it's going to backfire on them, to where it's going to strengthen the resolve for people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the prompts you talk about, that encouragement, I feel like these laws is going to backfire on them. It's going to give them the adverse effect that they wish to happen.
Right, right.
Yeah, because why would you prohibit? Well, why would you try to stop letting people vote by mail? You got a lot of people that are sick or like have issues that they can't physically go out, especially now with the pandemic. Not too many people want to go in certain spaces, so to make it harder, like even when we did the mail-in ballots this year, well, I know I did. They had to specifically like what color, like almost like a test when you take at school. You had to use a number 2 pencil, like blah blah blah. They did the same thing, so I don't get a lot of the stuff that they're doing.
Their biggest thing. This is what they think, and this is what they feel is this is the prevent. They feel like for some odd reason, Republicans feel like the Democrats are stuffing ballots, are getting people to sign and sign up as other people, getting people to turn in absentee ballots that don't belong to them, and getting fake ballots put in place to pump up their numbers, right? And a lot of it is their thinking is, well, if we make it harder and more restrictive, it reduces the ability for them to stuff these ballots. But this also, like Smooth was just saying, I think this also makes it harder for even their people, their constituents, their Republican and conservative constituents, right? In Florida, which is a heavily red state, a lot of those people are, especially in central and southern Florida, a lot of those people are elderly or, homebound or things like that. And, now you're telling them that, they can't have anybody other than an immediate family member turn in their ballot, that, they absentee ballot requests are only good for one election cycle, not two. I believe in Michigan, we finally got ours where it's perpetual. So we no longer have, once we sign up for 2 absentee ballots, we no longer have to sign up for absentee ballots in the future. We just automatically will get them. So if you're eligible, you're eligible. If you're, that kind of thing. So I think that it's basically, like you said, shooting them in the foot, because now you're restricting your own people too. You're making it harder for them to vote. You're making it harder for, the voting process to be undertaken. It doesn't help anyone overall to make it more challenging, because then now you're having the challenges discourage certain people, but like you said, Smooth, there's also going to be the people who are going to be more motivated now, right? So especially, I know a lot of activists and students and things like that are going to be even more motivated to want to ensure that they get their right to vote, and it's not going to make a difference, for them.
Even in this article, it mentions that it says the big question is whether these bills will do what Democrats worry and some Republicans openly hope they will do: help the GOP win elections by suppressing voter turnout. But the answer is far from clear. Despite Republicans' protestations, study after study has found that mail-in voting does not give either party an advantage. So new laws restricting it might not either. So it's like, that's why I said it's like a lot of these stuff they doing is just petty.
Yeah,
it's just petty. It's nonsense. It's vindictive.
Yeah, very vindictive. Very vindictive.
Yeah, it's vindictive, and it's like you're not going to win like that. You're not going to get ahead like that.
Another big one is the voter ID stuff. I mean, it's crazy that they're trying. There's several states where they're trying to restrict even absentee voting to having to show ID. Like, how do you show ID anyway? So it's like, if I have to show ID to absentee vote, right, and I'm homebound, like that makes no sense to me. Also, as well as mail-in voting, having to show. So you're talking about, they're probably saying that you basically are going to need to make copies of your ID and send it in with that. So now you're forcing people to have to go get copies of IDs made and that kind of thing. It's like, people don't have time for that. People don't have, I mean, not to say they don't have time, but what I'm saying is they don't, sometimes people don't have the resources. They don't have the, I mean, it's not like there's a Kinko's on every corner like it used to be back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. They done closed down there all the libraries. You feel me?
Exactly.
So if you ain't like one of us, I'm lucky enough to have printers and stuff at the crib, but most people don't.
Exactly.
So you asking them to go above and beyond, to where, I kind of only thing I do agree with is when you go to the ballot, I feel like you should have to show ID.
Yeah, because I thought that was interesting too, because when you walk in, they don't really ask you, they ask you your name, and so to me, I would definitely agree with that. Possibly give me
you just have to have your voting card, and that's it.
In our spot where I go in, all I have to do is say my name and my birthday, bro.
Really?
All I have to do is say my name, my birthday. They turn it around. Oh, they'll find me in the ledger.
Right.
Turn that ledger around. All right, put your signature down. They'll tell you to sign it. Rip off the little piece, Then you take that, you walk to the booth, hand it to the lady or man, and you go in and vote. The only reason why because I remember the first couple times I pulled out my ID.
Yeah, I was carrying my ID too.
Yeah, I pulled out my ID and it was like, nah, you good.
Yeah, you don't need that. Yeah.
Yeah. And my thing is, the only reason why I say you should show ID when you go to the ballot, because that's when anybody so I could just sent my little brother in here. As long as he 18, you feel me? Like, I could have sent him in here and he could have voted, or he could have just went on his own and voted anyway. You know what I mean? So, like, I do feel like.
Yeah, I don't think my place, they didn't ask for ID. They didn't even ask my birthday. Like, I always point myself out in the book. Like, as soon as they flip to the thing, it's like,
right there. They're probably looking for the wrong spelling of your name and everything.
Yeah, because, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, here go right here. And they're like, okay. And the only thing I can say is, yeah, especially my name.
I can already tell that between her and a bunch of our ethnic brothers and sisters from other countries, probably have the hardest time going through those and making sure.
Like, just never mind. Just go ahead and get it. And on top of that, I got a whole list. So I'll be in the store just like, just right there.
Right, exactly.
And then the only thing,
beside the table with them and show you here.
Yeah, the only thing that I will say they do that I noticed. So in the book, that in the ledger thing they do, when I sign my name, it said my previous signature is next to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like it's like on one side it's like my signature of me signing previous, I guess the previous year, I don't know where it's from, and then you see my like when I sign my name, it's like right there. But then again, you look, top of that, you could think about it like this: when you sign, it looks like my ID signature, and when you sign on that little stupid board thing, it's dumb as hell anyway. It's not really your handwriting.
Right.
So it's completely opposite when I'm in person signing my name. So
yeah, that's interesting. That she had to get her ID scanned.
That's crazy.
That's real crazy. I've never had my ID scanned before, and I'm in the same state as Kilo. I'm in a whole different district and area, but I'm definitely in the.
Maybe they got the upgrade. Maybe they got the upgrade.
But my thing is,
I'm in the country, so
my thing is they here, and quite a few spots, like they'll scan your ID to buy cigarettes.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I kind of like that idea. I kind of like, shit, if y'all gonna scan my ID if I'm buying cigarettes, which is kind of odd to me. I mean, I feel like that's an insurance scam.
Right.
But
right, yeah, you can't say that you don't smoke and all that.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You could really just be buying cigarettes for a friend or a relative. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. But scanning that's So
I see, like you said, I see some slight benefits in that as well. I just don't like the idea of having to show ID when you're absentee ballot. The absentee ballot. I don't like the idea of being required. What a lot of states do allow for is affidavit IDing, right? So you have to have some other form of ID. If it's not photo ID, you have to have some other form of ID, some other form of proof that it's who you say you are, and then you sign an affidavit. Mm-hmm. So I think in those situations where people don't have ID or don't, that kind of thing, it saves them from missing out on that opportunity to vote. So I think having something in place like that should be allowed, but a lot of these states are working on removing the allowance of that, right? So that only the ID it will be allowed at the polling place. So I think that's going to be, again, problematic, because I know a lot of older people who have lost their their ability to drive, or lost their ability to things like that. And some of them will have ID anyway because they may need to get checks and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But you never know. Like my uncle, who's senile, and he likes to lose his ID all the time, but he also likes to vote. So telling this man he can't vote because he lost his ID last week while he was on one of his walks is not going to sit well with him. You know what I mean? Especially, because he feels like, hey, he gave his life to do something for this country, and blase split. So, you know, it's not going to sit well.
Now, like I said, y'all know I don't subscribe to none of them parties or whatever. Mm-hmm. Y'all also know how I feel about voting. We done talked about this plenty of times on here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Y'all, on this topic, y'all talking to somebody who don't believe everybody should be able to have the right to vote, period. Mm-hmm. Because everybody don't, you know what I mean? Like I always tell the story about me going in there, voting, being ignorant when I was young, and just voting along the party line because my grandmother did, and not knowing who I'm voting for, what I'm voting for, none of that. So I always say I was, at that point in time, I was part of the problem. Mm-hmm. You feel me? You know, that's why I say this whole system is a flawed process. The whole voting thing is a flawed process, if you ask me. You know, but my thing is, if y'all really want to make it restrictive, right? See, they don't really want to do it. They don't really want to make it. They don't really want to make people have to take a test in order to vote.
Right.
Because everybody on all sides going to be looking around like, hold up, I ain't signed up for this.
You know, the Republicans would not be able to vote if they had tests.
Bro. Exactly.
Democrats,
and independents, everybody.
So yeah, they don't want to go there. They don't want to go there. It's too many people who are politically ignorant to too many people. There's not enough people who are politically adept.
Because then you gotta stop people. You gotta stop people from doing the voting in the general elections. Because people ain't pay attention, and
exactly.
And this is crazy because you realize, like, and that's the thing that boggles my mind. You hear everybody talk about the presidential, the vice presidents, and all that stuff.
Right.
And y'all may talk about the governor, may or may not, depending on who you're talking to.
Right.
But like these general elections that hit home for us it's the same thing. It's worse.
Right.
Like y'all care about the president of the United States, but you don't care about the city. Like a lot of people complain about Trump, but
and that's where you need to be conscious of is your local election. That's where you need to put your focus in. You know, your local.
So another thing they can do a case study. Oh, my bad.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say they can do a case study of Trenton, New Jersey, the capital of New Jersey. They can do a case study of our council, our city council. And see, this is the result of what you get when you get people who don't know how to vote. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Who don't pay attention to local elections. You feel me? They don't understand what's going on locally. So now you get a city council to where they be cussing each other out.
Yeah, like
city council meetings.
Yeah, I remember that.
You feel me? And they just had another.
Jersey, I remember that.
They just had another one recently, bro.
Another one,
bro.
I thought you were talking about the one last year. That's crazy.
They had another one. Then they had to end up to when one of the I think Blakely had said something to one of the ladies, called out her name, disrespected her. Next thing you know, they got a rally. You know, you got people out there, you feel me, just talking. And it's like, what solutions do y'all have? Right. You feel me? It's all this bickering, everybody trying to fight for power. You know, like Sonny always said. No, I mean, she said plenty of times, it's a popularity contest here.
It is.
You feel me? That's all it is. It's a popularity contest, and the knowledge that they know a lot of people ain't gonna vote in the city,
right,
and don't pay attention to elections. And I tell people when they be complaining about the city, I be like, bro, sis, you feel me? You got to get involved. You got to get engaged. You know, you don't even have to go to every city council meeting. They post them.
Yeah, they post stuff online. Yeah.
Yeah, you can read it. You can know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, nah, man. It's like, so the apathy is crazy.
Yeah, I got a couple friends. Like I actually have one of my coworkers, she was the mayor of Edgewater. Now it's another one, I think our classmates is doing it now. And it's like I know more about and it's crazy because I see more of their stuff like in Edgewater Park than I see in Trenton. And it's like and as a person that lives in the city, you have to and I think that's the problem too, because you don't really, if you hear about it, it's like trickles here and there. Like I think people get caught up in not seeing it and just letting it happen. and not paying attention. Because even we see it with the presidential election, nobody gets involved until it gets down to the wire. All of a sudden, you start hearing more. Like you'll hear stuff. Not say you won't hear anything. You'll hear some stuff here and there, but when it gets down to the wire, you'll hear way more.
Right.
People will be way more involved because it's all publicized now. Now it's every day, all day you hearing stuff, and it's like, and it's crazy because
people
it's
want to
like
watch the debates and people want to get involved in the not protest, you know what I mean, and the the polling and the rallies and all that kind of stuff. So another big issue that one big issue is voter registration. There's pushes to restrict when and how people can register to vote, because a lot of states have very flexible voting registration time periods and things like that, but there's some states that want to reduce that. But another big one though is these voter roll purges, right? So in this one, I think there's some validity to that. It makes sense, right? Where the voting roll when people either pass away or when they move out of the county and things of that nature, they need to be removed from the voting roll, right? To prevent them from voting in either the wrong areas or to prevent them from voting when they're dead, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but the case that some opponents of these voter roll purges is trying to make is that, the process for voter roll purges may be flawed, or that it may cause errors, right? Because they're like, hey, what if you signal in on one person and it may be a mistaken identity, somebody, you might say that somebody's dead and it just, they have the same name as somebody else, that kind of thing, so it's like
I think you should go by the death cert. That will be easier, right? Like, so
right.
As far as the death, once you get a death cert, let's use that.
Right, and that's what you would think, right? And so, but there's this concern that that they may, but my thing is like, the chances of that, I think are minimal to the point where it shouldn't be a reason not to do it. You know what I mean? I don't think it makes sense to think that the one, not even 1%, I would venture to guess, or I would venture to assume that this would happen in. I would venture to guess it would be the 0.5%, you know what I mean, of voter roll purges would be errors like that. It would cause some challenges for a person who goes to the polls and finds out that they are considered dead or purged from the roll, but the few people that would happen to, I don't think it would be cause for concern or cause for alarm. You know what I'm saying? So I personally don't see the real big problem with voter roll purges. If there's somebody watching, you got a bigger argument for that, let me know. But I just don't see why that's why that would be fault, because it makes sense in my thought process. I could be wrong. Like I said, I could be wrong, but
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean,
and then like with the moving out of district, people update their address. That should be very simple. Once you, because I know I just renewed my my ID, and they asked me, like, basically it was like saying quite the questions of, did I change the party that I, it went through the whole thing about voter thing. It's like, do you need to like register, and if not, do you wish to change your party? Like, it went through the whole thing. So yeah, I think when we change our address, it should be automatic switch over to whatever voting county or wherever you are located, that type of thing. And then with the people that pass, the death cert should trigger to take them off the. Like same way, it's the same way we let people go from our job. We take them off the payroll once that pay period closes, they no longer belong to us.
Right.
Like they're off our record. We take them off our record. It should be. I don't know how simple that is because I don't work for that particular.
You know why? Because check, for instance, for me before I moved, right? I was in a whole nother state, but I still had a mailing address at my grandma's house.
Mm.
You feel me? Where I grew up, right here out East Trenton. So even though I wasn't actually living here,
Oh yeah,
I could still vote as if I was. Simply because I have a mailing address here, and it's sort of to like homeowners or landlords, what have you. They could own a house in your neighborhood, but never live in your city. There. And you know what I mean? Like,
maybe they could do it like where it's
a
mailing address / physical address. Like your physical address is here, but your mailing address is here, and then they go by the physical where you physically live. Maybe I don't know, but maybe I'm asking too much. I don't.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. But there's another avenue or another side to that too. We're going to get to that later on in this chart. I'm going to go back to Keela's comment here. She says that she lives in Inkster, Michigan here, where half the city related to the mayor, so only his people and city council members and friends benefited from them being in office. So yeah, that's always pretty rough when
that's trend.
That's trend too.
I mean, really, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like the popularity contest, wherever they know somebody in it, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
This is what
I'm not gonna lie. I actually know the mayor too, or an extra, and I got some special privileges.
You know what I tell people? Everybody should try. If you ever find a candidate you like that's locally, try working on their campaign or doing something. Because I actually was working for mayoral candidate before, and right around the time my daughter was born, it's back in 2012, 2013.
Oh, Matt?
Nah.
Everybody worked for him.
It was actually Patrick Hall.
Okay.
But what I learned is the shadiness of it, the intricacies of it, how much it really is who you know. It's all about who you know and how much money you can generate. You know what I mean? So in them cases like that, like would you say that's Inkster? That's how you say it?
Yeah, Inkster. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that mayor knows some people, know the right people. You feel me? And got some money backing him, just like it would happen here. Every mayor that got in knew somebody.
Yeah,
knew somebody, and they was able to get a special backing and generate a certain amount of dollars. Yeah. And you feel me? Those the real issues that need to be worked out when you talk about voting and politics, because this stuff right here, that's what, like the voting stuff, like all that stuff is like the symptoms, or like the it's like putting a Band-Aid over 50 stitches or something. You know what I mean? Like that's what it like. So no matter what's going on with that, I always feel like the real issue comes to, you know what I mean, how we choose our candidates. You know what I mean? And where our candidates come from. Because, a lot of people that's been in these offices, I'm pretty sure people when you're surrounded that they're really not qualified.
Right.
They're really not qualified. And here's a lot of people that's really not qualified. It's easy to get on your soapbox, and just because you can articulate yourself very well, seem like you know what you're talking about, know what you're doing, but most people don't got the wherewithal to really do it. Right, you feel me? Like that's what I've noticed. And because wasn't he Gall mayor in Detroit that got arrested?
Yeah, in Detroit. Yeah,
ours here. Ours did the same thing.
Put in jail for 20 years. He did get not extradited. What do you call it? He got his sentence commuted by Trump.
Yeah, same thing happened here. That's when she said Tony Mack. That happened to him. You feel me? They kind of set him up.
Nobody set up Kwame Kilpatrick. He did everything they said he did.
You know what I mean? But it was like entrapment. You feel me? That's how I felt like it was here. It was like entrapment. But at the end of the day, he was still doing something he wasn't supposed to do.
Exactly.
But it's like that's my issue. Is like we be getting these candidates just because they popular and known, and then we want to complain about the voting. My issue is still the candidates we had to vote for.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm talking about the presidential election. Like when you really look at them candidates, it's like, come on, man. Like my boy, like I always bring up my boy George Carlin. You know what I mean? He always say, you know what I mean, your leaders reflect the people who voted them in.
Right.
You feel me? So we really have to look at ourselves and look at the people we putting in leadership positions.
Right, indeed.
To affect that'll really affect our lives traumatically and dramatically. I said it traumatically and dramatically.
Right.
Exactly. You feel me? Like this shit is crazy, man.
Yeah. All right. Back to the chart. Another big, fight is the in-person early voting. There's a lot of push to reduce the amount of time people can do in-person early voting. I know even during the election, there was a lot of pushes or a lot of manipulation in the timings and things like that. And then some Republicans or some other activist groups are trying to get that stopped, but I think a lot of that was being done because we're in a pandemic and there was a lot of things that were being done to try to help people be able to, kind of spread that out, make it easier to vote, that kind of thing. Because early voting became a way of relieving and reducing the crowds, right? But now they want to try to reduce the amount of time that can be done. I can't remember which one I saw. I don't think it's in this article, but there was an article where I saw they mentioned that one of the states wants to reduce it to like 9 days instead of having the 1 month or a couple of months that some of these states had. In-person early voting, I think, is essential. I think it's needed, even for the future. Not just while we're in the pandemic, but also in the future, so that it can keep our polling, lines low. I know I had a much easier time doing my voting last year, not last year, but in 2019, even before the pandemic, because we had early voting. Last year, I chose to do absentee, and I dropped mine at a drop box. The whole drop box thing is crazy to me because of having one place. Now, some counties, like the county I'm in Wayne County, it encompasses the city of Detroit, 15 other larger suburbs, and then a bunch of little tiny townships. Having one in a county is ridiculous, right? They're not trying to do that here, but to think that could be something that they implement in some of these states it seems crazy to me, because people need access where they are, not being forced to catch buses and find rides clear across the county just to vote, when they're not even voting in person. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I think New Jersey is about to do where we're gonna have
I was just about to bring
early. Yeah, I got the thing too. They talk about us because that once we got this, I looked up for New Jersey to see what happened with us, and they were talking about how they're gonna be doing voting early, so that way we can, like you said, get to the have more time to get to the lines versus waiting until the last minute and just trying to shove it in that one day. Mm-hmm. And also doing they're starting about doing the drop boxes and going to figure out where the locations are going to be. So that's going to be interesting to see, because that will be the first time for me hearing about drop boxes and things like that for New Jersey. If it's been around, I've never, for me, it's always been going to the voting booth. I think that within the last year, I signed up to where I don't have to go in; they mail everything to me. Mm-hmm. I think I only go in for city votes, like city elections, but for the presidential stuff, I could just go and do the mail-in. But I didn't pick the mail-in for everything.
Right.
So
it's shout out to Phil Murphy, Governor Phil Murphy.
Yeah.
I actually met him twice. Yeah. One time he came to Trenton to and campaign early on, just before anybody knew who he really was. And I told you I sent y'all that picture I posted on Instagram last year when he was actually on my street. They was doing some type of presentation. You know what I mean? He seemed like a good guy. You feel me? Now, this is some I want to know if you know, Willie, y'all
hey, Brittany.
early voting procedures, because now he says it requires counties to hold 9 days of early in-person machine voting, ending the Sunday before election day in November. There are fewer days of in-person voting for primaries, 3 for a non-presidential primary and 5 in a presidential election year. So are those similar to what's going on in Detroit or opposite?
Yeah, I don't. Well, as of last year, I know it's opposite, because we had somewhere around, like, I want to say it was almost like three weeks of in-person early voting, and I don't know of any specific laws. I know there are several laws that are being pushed in Michigan to do some restrictive voting. So I don't know if one of those will cover the in-person vote. I'm assuming it will. I don't know what their plan is, or what the provisions of that say at this point. But that was one of the contention points, was early voting here in Michigan as well, especially because we cut it real close in this presidential election, and it made it more what they call it. It made it more intense, in terms of, because people were getting pushed to do the in-person voting, but people were also getting discouraged from doing it. I know there was a lot of like the little propaganda forms they send to you in the mail, and they were telling people, like, it was literally when I found a Republican one at that, of course, that was giving the wrong information about it, which was crazy, and I was just floored by the tactics that they were using, to try to discourage people. But then also some of the absentee ballots were being sent out, or the absentee ballot request forms were being sent out by Republicans. So it's like, I thought it was weird that, I'm seeing these absentee, ballot situations being brought up, but I know of a lot of Republican Party members that were using that strategy to try to get their voters to vote. You know what I'm saying? So I just think this shoots them in the foot, pushing these types of laws when they needed these strategies themselves.
And I think that people definitely need to read. I know this year when you mailed in your ballot, it was a lot more, it was different.
Right.
It was a whole different thing. And I remember I was doing mine, and I always laugh because I'm a state worker and I work in HR, and I always say, people don't ever read anything. Right. I'm people. I didn't read. In that moment, I was people all day. I didn't read shit. I just sat there just like, oh, wait a minute. And then I realized before I had completely sealed it, I had sealed it halfway, and I realized I didn't do it right. Like, wait a minute, let me go back, and I didn't envelope it properly. So I had to, and that was one of the things they told you what color ink. They told you how you had to put shit in the envelope, and I'm sitting there just like, oh, well, I'm gonna put this in the envelope, I'm gonna mail it out. I was like, no, it's more steps to the sweetheart. Like, I had to just, and I was like, wait a minute, man, maybe I should read the directions. Maybe I should read them and figure this out, because obviously I'm missing something. Because after I read it, like, I read the directions after the fact. You know how you throw the box away when you're about to microwave stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, I gotta figure out what I gotta do.
Right, exactly.
That's what I did. So I feel like for me, I'm one of the people that read shit, and I didn't. So for us, we had to read stuff like, your vote didn't count if you weren't doing it as the instructions. It's basically like you wasted your time.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's the same thing for me. When I did my my absentee ballot, was because I've absentee balloted before, because in Michigan we have a little bit more lax rules around our absentee ballots. If you were just going to be out of town, you could get one back in the past. So I have done absentee ballots in the past. I like Brittany's point though. She says that she's one of those people who has to go to the polls because she feels like her mail-in will get lost. Man, I'm telling you, this time when I did my absentee, I didn't mail it in. I went to the drop box to put it in the drop box. But the way our little county building is set up, I'm like, I felt like it was gonna get lost dropping in the little drop box, man. It was scary.
It was gonna get lost. Either way, it was gonna get lost.
Well, the way I felt about it was like it was like in this little drop thing, little thing, but it was kind of out in the open. I'm like, anybody could just walk in there in the morning as soon as the door opened and go grab all those ballots out. Like, who's protecting these ballots?
That's how it look at it when you go to the family court. You see the child support payment drop box.
Yeah, it's just
like, okay. Right there.
It's like a little cylinder. It's like, man, somebody can go in there and be like, thanks.
I handed mines. I'm like Brittany and you. I handed mines directly to the mailman. Oh, my bad. I handed mines directly to the mailman and was still I still had anxiety. I was like, man, listen.
See, I didn't do that. So because I work from home, I'm always mailing shit out. So my mailman knocks on my door because I always have mail. Either if I didn't put mail out, he taps my door.
The only person I know gets your mail picked up by the mailman. What's going on?
Well, the mailman comes to my house and he knocks on my door because I tell him, I'm like, I work from home. I'm gonna be mailing a lot of stuff out. So if you come to the box, I know if he off because then I won't get a knock. But he'll like knock or ring my doorbell, let me know he there. So in case I forgot to put something out, he going to get it. So it's like he could, So like I know he got my mail because he just does that.
Right.
Like, thank you. You're the best.
Crazy. I don't know nobody else that got those kind of rights and responsibilities.
Well, me and my mailman talk about BJ's.
Okay, sorry. Her special treatment because she works for the state. That mailman like, I just want to make sure I get my check.
You know what?
Heard you work for the state, young lady. I'm gonna come pick up your mail every day. Payroll, yeah. I'm coming to pick up your
You know what?
No doubt. But yeah, so that's another big one. I'm skipping right down to because we're almost through the first part of the show. Student voting. I thought this one was weird because I was like, what are they doing to the students, right? But this goes back to voter ID. This also goes to voter registration in terms of, and to Smooth's point earlier about where are you when you're voting, right? And so the issue with student voting is that, and a lot of students were facing issues even before last year, in the years prior, with getting harassed about their polling location, if they were in the correct state, if they were, if they should have been voting in the states that they were in school at, or if they should have gone home to vote, if they were voting.
Why wouldn't they be automatically absentee ballots?
That's what I was thinking.
That would make a whole lot of sense.
Unfortunately, some states don't consider that a reason for absentee ballots. A lot of states have very restrictive absentee ballot laws.
So if you go to school down south,
is not even a provision for getting an absentee ballot.
Well, that's terrible because if you go to school all the way down in North Carolina and you live all the way to Jersey, that means you got to come all the way to Jersey for that one fucking day. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and yeah, that's what it is. So and so people in the states or the counties where these students are voting, they're questioning the students, grilling the students about where they should be voting, why they should be voting, trying to discourage them from voting. There was stories and news articles about students being harassed, being pushed away from the polling places, things like that. To Brittany's point, you can't trust everybody.
At all.
Polling place people, because you don't know what they're trying to do to you or what they're trying to, you know what I mean? Which is crazy to me too, because when I got to the polling place, this was the scary thing for me last year, a couple years ago, is and I was new in the area. And, like I said, I'm in the country. And so, of course, when I got there, it was like, I think it was just me, for us. It was just me. But then also, there was a lot of Republican talk in the line. And then when I heard the polling people started agreeing with it, I was just like, I'm in the wrong place. I'm pretty sure there's no issue with them being partisan or biased in terms of their political arrangement, but I just felt like that was inappropriate. You know what I mean? For them to be having political talk in the behind that desk, while they're taking our polling information and all that kind of stuff. It's just a conflict of interest. It's bad business, and and it creates a hostile voting environment. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sitting there like, I don't want to hear this. And then two, I feel like, if my silence or my non-agreeance, signals to them that, they need to do something to my ballot. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy to me that, we can get into these situations that have to feel like this, or like those students who were getting harassed and grilled about their voting poll locations and things like that. We shouldn't be creating hostile voting conditions, and these laws are creating that. So is this the new Jim Crow? I agree with Smooth. It's not the new Jim Crow. It's not Jim Crow, but it's a problem. It's problematic. It's very problematic. It's very disheartening. A lot of people will react in different ways. I think that the people who will be hurt by this will be sweeping. It will affect people on both sides of the major political parties. It's going to affect everybody across the board. So I don't think that what they're doing is addressing whatever real or unreal problem that they think that they're addressing.
Exactly. And it's like, furthermore, they so split. If y'all been paying attention to the parties, both the major parties recently, you feel me? Like, they're split and fractured amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Like, the Democratic Party is totally, it's like it's one side of Democrats and another side of Democrats. You live Republican the same way. It's like you got the the ones that are super conservatives, and then you got the ones that's the Trump type Republicans. It's like you feel me? Like this political scheme in this country is probably the most like you said, Willie, the most hostile it has ever been. And right. I want to touch on your point about because I remember me going to vote one time, and I forget. I want to say it was it was between Bush and who the second dude Bush ran against? I can't. Oh my goodness.
Kerry.
John Kerry. So I remember going into the booth. I mean, not the booth, but going into the center. Ours is in like a community center. I got to vote in my polling place. So I remember going there, and you feel me? I was already going to vote for John Kerry anyway. Mm-hmm. But I remember an older lady was behind there, and while I'm signing that ledger, like, yeah, make sure you vote for Kerry because we got to get Bush up out of here. And my thoughts was exactly like yours. Like, even though I'm voting for Kerry, like, it's kind of highly unprofessional for you to be in here now and coaching who to vote for.
Coaching, exactly.
You feel me? Like that's unacceptable. You know what I mean? That was at this point I was a little bit more mature than the first time I went to go vote, and I was like, nah, I mean, like, don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Don't tell people if you in there, do your job. You supposed to be working in the polling place. You're not supposed to be telling people who to vote for, encouraging them, insinuating anything. None of that. Feel me? And that just made me feel real uncomfortable.
I don't think I ever had that experience. Thankfully, I've not, and I've taken my daughter with me several times. Even young when I was voting, and not really knowing a lot. Not one time I ever had any votes where I had somebody telling me or saying something or having that type of conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm always coming in. By the time I come in on random times. I've always come in when it's completely empty, and I'm probably the only person in there at that particular time.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, when I was in my old city when I was living in Romulus, it was like that. It was I mean, it wasn't always empty. It was just not a lot of people. And then usually the people there, they were very, like, I felt like they were very professional.
I never got a sticker though, but I feel some way. People got that I voted sticker. My old polling place, I have never gotten a sticker. Now my new polling place is a fire, because both of my places have been at a fire station.
Right.
So now the other one is a fire station as well, and I haven't went there because now I do mail-in votes, and then COVID happened, so nobody goes anywhere. So I haven't had the pleasure of going to the new fire station to see if I would get me, like, because I always hate people come like, oh, I voted. I'm like, I didn't get no sticker.
Right.
Like, can I get a sticker?
No doubt.
Just low key a little jealous. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
After the show.
Right. It's time for.
That's actually kind of sexy. That kind of music.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like we getting sexy time. What we about to do?
Give me a little Sade feel.
Right.
So,
yeah, it do.
Yay. Right. So I wanted to touch on. I don't know if you saw my message in the private section, but I wanted to touch on last night's Verzuz.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't watch it? Are you gonna watch it?
No. Probably not. I mean, because I can go on Facebook and get people's commentary. It's like watching a award show.
It's like watching an award show for you, like.
Yeah, because everybody go in and just say what they're gonna say, and it's like, come on now.
Right.
Like I said in a private chat, once I heard Steve Harvey was hosting, I was like, I'm good.
No, that's like the Monica. That's like the Monica and Brandy one. I didn't watch that either, but I knew what shoes somebody had on. Like Brandy had on Monica's shoes from the video. Like the outfits was looking like it was something going on with that. and Brandy was being low key petty, whatever. I just, like, it was a bunch of those stuff. So I'm like, I don't even need to watch it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was dope as hell, but like, I feel like to me it's like watching the award show. I don't need to watch it. I just read the commentary and be done with it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you know me, music lover, so I had to watch it. I had to watch the whole thing. They actually started on time. Started at 8 p.m. And
that's because they elders. They got to get there.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing though. It started at 8 p.m. and this was the longest Verzuz ever.
Yeah. Oh, really?
For 4 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Well, that means they slept in all day and was up for the night.
I'm sure Mr. Biggs probably must have slept in because he was going strong at the end. He had a whole another breath of fresh air when
he was over there singing them notes.
All I know is that everybody was going crazy about. There's two things they was going crazy about. Of course, what Smooth just talked about, your boy Steve Harvey.
What the hell he do?
So Steve Harvey hosted and was providing kind of the banter between the songs, and he also was giving his own stories, which was turning a lot of people off. He was doing a lot of simping in the stories, which was making people mad because
I'm glad I didn't watch it.
Yeah, he was talking about like what year it was, where he was working at, what shoes he was wearing when he went to go to the girl house, and show her a poster of all the words and lyrics to the song that he wrote, and it was crazy. So it was like the whole first half he was
doing a puffy at the Earth, Wind, and Fire in himself.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
He was definitely around.
That's definitely what he was doing, and people were like. So people were really just, taken aback by that. But the other thing was Ron Isley and his new look. Because he was
post it. I want to see it.
Yeah, here I got it right here. I got it right.
I know I say he looking for a picture. I know he is.
I am. Here we go. Let me pull it up on the screen for you. Because he was breaking all the hearts last night. So he got the full beard going. He's got all the full gray beard gang. He was doing me proud. All
right, pop.
right. And he was up there. Like at first it was like the first couple songs. He kind of chilled in the cut, And then his brother got up for one of the songs, and he just was like, "Oh, are we getting up? Let's do this. So next thing you know. Mr. Biggs was up for like every song. He was up there. They got up for each other's songs. Earth, Wind & Fire was singing along with some of the songs. They kept saying that Verdine from Earth, Wind & Fire looked like he wanted to eat Mr. Ron Isley up. Because he was giving him the look like, yeah.
I heard I watched one part of it, and like that's why I made sure I turned it off to where I forget they was about to play Earth, Wind & Fire song, and Steve was talking, and like a lot of their songs, before they start singing, the beat play for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So they was up there, and they was waiting for the beat to play.
My butt came out with Feather Pants on?
Yeah, and Steve was talking, and dude was up there on the mic. He was just looking back at Steve, and it's almost like he wanted to say, "Man, shut the hell up." You feel me? I'm telling you, you can see it in his face. You can see it in the face. He almost looked back at it like, "Man, shut the hell up." You feel? Because they said he was Steve from all the little reports I was reading. It was like he was real biased towards Earth, Wind & Fire.
His most of his stories were all about his time buying Earth, Wind & Fire records, picking up girls using the Earth, Wind & Fire stuff, and all that kind of stuff, and how each of their songs. And he knew what year a song would come out. So if he messed up one of the songs, and they were like, no, that was a different year. He was like, oh yeah. That's right. But he had like, but I would say he was hyping up both groups. He just had more history with Earth, Wind & Fire,
yeah.
Songs and everything, because that was really his time. Where I think at that time period when Earth, Wind & Fire first came out, or when they were really popular while in his teenage and early adult years, the Isley Brothers had actually taken a downturn at that time, because their musical styles continued to change and evolve, but they were going into a style that most people weren't really into. So I think that's why he probably had more, affinity to that. Now I got into this discussion with a group chat of mine, and the complaint there was they were like, yeah, he was fanboying the whole time, and he was just going crazy too much, doing too much. And I was like, I think he was the personification of how people would feel if they were on that stage with those two groups. Being able to be with two of the best groups of all times in their genres, and you are watching them perform, you get to talk about how you felt about the songs and all that kind of stuff. I think you would get wrapped up in it, you know what I mean? And even though Steve Harvey's a huge success himself, I think him being a fanboy just shows that he's not too big to recognize greatness. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I think he was trying to do. I don't think that he was really taken away from the whole event, because I still felt like the event was epic. They were all getting up and doing their songs. They were all talking about different stories themselves, not as much as Steve, but they were still, giving their viewpoints on certain things. I think that, Steve Harvey being a comedian, being a comedic host, he did what they expected him to do. They knew he was going to keep that show interesting. The thing is that it kept people talking. It kept people talking about it the whole time, as well as, and that's their thing. They want exposure. They don't want it to be dry. They don't want it to be boring. They don't want it to be, just a back and forth with the music. The music is great. We know that. And somebody was like, it's about the music. And yeah, it is. But the thing is, Verzuz is also about a celebration of these groups and a celebration of what they meant to us. Not just the music itself. It's the feeling.
You could even Monica him. I like that one. I kind of watched a little bit. Like I got some of it. My sister was here, so she put it on either way. Mm-hmm. So like you get and it's like it takes you back to that time, because it's like the songs you hear, it takes you back to a certain time. Like, and then it's Steve just did what most people do, but mm-hmm. just out loud. Exactly. It took you back to a time, and like I remember hearing "I Want to Be Down" for the first time, just sitting up and chilling, and the song came out. Like how you know where you were when you heard a song. I remember like when you take it back to what was it, Carl Thomas, when Carl Thomas first came out.
Oh, you're right.
Bitch, that summer, bitch, everybody, all you heard was Summer Rain. You heard all
right.
And not to mention Donnell Jones for his little short stint of time when Donnell Jones came out. Everybody sure he got out. You was in that moment. So like I get it to that extent, but maybe he did overdo it, but then again, it's Steve Harvey, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say. I say, was he over the top? I believe so.
I'm just glad I didn't watch it. So
yeah, he had a couple of foot in your mouth moments as well. He talked about how going to a club, he used to be suited and booted, and they would dance with the girls and all that kind of stuff. And then he said, yeah, nowadays, you go to these clubs and there's men dancing with men. He was like, we wouldn't allow that back in the day. We didn't do that, right, fellas? And I was like, bruh. Like, Steve, come on, bro.
He spoke his mind. He spoke his truth.
Yeah, but right, and that
time
but what was also funny to me was I was thinking about how much he was dogging, new music, new artists, and stuff like that. And me being a music lover, I love even the new stuff. So I always have a retort about that. I always have a complaint about that because I always feel like people who dismiss new music don't know music. They just don't. They don't know.
I think it's more.
They feel like they know music. They feel like they got this foot in time, and that music back in my day was so great, and this music is trash. And it's like, well, no, it's not. It's not.
Exactly.
You just don't look for the music. You don't know where to find it. Or like some of my friends when we were in the group chat, they were like, oh, this new music is just trash. And I'm like, at first I was holding back. I was like, you know what? No, it's not. It's not. I can name for you 6 artists right now. They have amazing music right now on the level of. I was like, what about Silk Sonic? Like, what about Lucky Day? What about Leon Bridges? What about, I'm like, you got her, you got Snow Allegra, you got, I'm just naming names. And of course, only 2 people knew of 1 or 2 of the names off of the 6 people I named.
Yeah, I just felt like I was lost for a minute. But then again, I don't really listen to new music. And my daughter, and I think it's funny because my daughter, I get in her car and she plays certain songs. And then she's surprised that I actually like the song. Like I remember she had to tell me who people are. Like I feel like I'm old in that sense because she got to tell me who the people are because everybody got the same name or close enough to it. It's too much for me. So and then one guy I thought was dead. Everybody got mad. I was like, no, mom, he's not dead. It's the other one that died. I'm like, okay, what's the other song you like? I'm like, I don't listen. Somebody died. Somebody got killed. I don't know. But but like it's certain.
I like all music. I like all music. Like my I told y'all before, I go listen to some old doo-wop. You know what I mean? My grandma used to have. She was not used to. She still got. Obviously, it's the remastered versions, but she got CDs of old doo-wop groups. You know what I mean? Like Frankie Lyman.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can go back and listen to that and get that same feeling as if I'm listening to something
that's new
right now.
Yeah, that's how like I don't. That's how you gotta be though.
I hate when they be talking about, like, I agree with Willie. This when they be like the golden age of music, R&B, or the golden age of hip hop. It's like it's really no such thing. You feel me? Because everything that you would consider corny now in music was corny then too.
Yeah,
people was doing a lot of corny stuff then too.
Exactly.
It's just that it's everybody's so more exposed now. Right. So it seems like, but I mean, the music it's great music in any era. In any era,
it's even funny because like my daughter listens to a lot of these new little rappers. Like I said, I don't know their names. One guy she played some song, I don't even know the name of the song. But like I actually could relate to the song. I said, oh, because I'm used to hearing like we done heard stupid songs that didn't make no damn sense. Like I remember hearing this song my daughter played called Such and Such, and the guy was literally saying such and such like almost the whole fucking song. I said that's just unproductive and stupid as fuck, but it was catchy as shit, so I get it. But then you listen to some of the music you listen to now. I actually sit there and listen. Like it's not even like for me. I listen to the beat, got to get me in, and then I listen to the lyrics. And one day I was in the car with her, and it was somebody's song. I don't know who it was, some little guy or something. And she played the song, and I'm just sitting in there. And next thing you know, I'm just heard it. I'm singing the song right along. She like, and I said, "What's a good song?" And I was like, "Well, he talk about this?" And I said, "If you something I can relate to." Whereas you think that sometimes you can't relate to these different songs because they're new and these kids are young and they don't know anything, so like that. And it actually was a really nice song that I could relate to. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell he went through? Because he done went through some shit.
Yeah, I'm more attracted to lyrics. I always been more attracted to lyrics than the lyrics are bringing me in first. You know, I like a good beat. I love a nice beat.
Yeah.
But if the lyrics
stupid
don't match the beat, then I'm gonna never listen to that song again. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like that's why I like artists. Like I like St. John. I like Sir Real. Like when you listen to their lyrics, you know what I mean. It's a whole lot of metaphors. The way they put their words together is dope. It's dope. And I mean, I feel like them two, like, you know, they got their popularity. I still feel like they underrated out there. You know what I mean? But I don't listen to too much rap as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm more of a R&B dude. To be honest with you, always been really. I just love. You know what I mean? I just love rap too. But you know, I listen to a lot of these new artists, and I be impressed. I be impressed by some of them. You feel me? I think what the older we get, we got to get out of that. Like Willie stated earlier, we got to get out of that mindset. Oh, the way we did it in my era was the best.
Right.
You feel me? It's like, nah. You feel me? I never wanted to. I noticed some of my boys. I'm like, say that, and I'm like, yo, now we sounded like our parents.
Exactly.
You feel me? We used to get mad at them
and unable to think outside of the little box we got.
Yeah, but but even now, I feel like I listen to, like, I think within the last probably 5 years, I listened to music from like before my time. Mm-hmm. Like I literally like listen to like 2 Marvin Gaye albums through and through. I like some of the Bee Gees songs. Like I can take it back and just be in this old zone. My mom had us fall in love with Natalie Cole. I can play her albums like and sit in the house like it's just some new shit in my house, just in here vibing out and stuff. And it takes you. It just like, because even like back then when we were younger, we didn't know about these songs, and now you get to like even like the Isley Brothers, Earth from the Fire. You don't really like you know about them, but through our parents. But now to listen to their music and appreciate it now and understand it, like I think it's very good. Like to kind of go back and go forward, and then being like, because I listen to 90s music, I can go into the 90s music flow and just be in my own little vibe, hip hop or R&B. And then I can also play current music, and I can go back even further and just be in that. I like disco music. I don't know why, but I love this shit. I love it to death.
I agree with you as far as like I like to listen to, because I grew up in a musical family. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause my uncle, he do music. Like everybody do music, right? You know, I listen to a lot of that old school stuff. So a lot of Marvin, like my mom loved Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
You gotta understand, my mom had me as a teenager.
Marvin Gaye had some songs.
My mom made that old school, like she wasn't even around when Marvin Gaye was popping, but she loved Marvin Gaye. So I used to listen to all that old school stuff, and I fell in love with it. Then my uncle, he used to listen to a lot of blues. And we used to always go on long rides. You feel me? And all he would play in that car and that tape was blues songs. And you feel me? I fell in love with it. I
like jazz music.
I like jazz too. Jazz too.
Jazz will get you caught up. You be sitting there.
You know, one of my favorite artists. He's not even really a musician. He's a poet. Excuse me. But Gil Scott-Heron. Like y'all, I think it's Pieces of a Man. If y'all ever get a chance to like go listen to that, like that's one of the most amazing pieces of work ever. You know what I mean? I spoke on the show before, like I feel like Stevie Wonder, you feel me, in my opinion, can go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest musician. For me, just for me. Now I mean, but listening to it when I get older, it's a different feeling. Even though I already know the songs word for word and all that, but when I listen to it as an adult that has experienced some things, like some of them songs hit a whole lot different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Hit a whole lot different.
That's how Marvin Gaye's supposed to come.
Cameron. My favorite group is definitely Isley Brothers. definitely my favorite, hands down. They cross so many decades, so many genres, so many just feelings, everything, you know. So I definitely love.
Already know Brit.
Brittany says Stevie Wonder is her favorite artist of all time. Feeling that for sure. Definitely feeling that. You know, between being a writer, a performer, just everything, man. Stevie is definitely hands down one of the top artists of all time for sure. So, yeah, these, like you said, these artists, this music, it definitely brings about feelings, passions.
Yeah, I think watching a lot of their like I remember watching when I watched Ray, and then watching what he went through while making the music that he made and how he made it. It made me appreciate hearing his music even currently. Like, because it's like you get that appreciation of the struggle they went through to, you know, do the kind of music. Because it's one, like, and it's a lot of artists get stuck like that. They get into this industry, get a good song, and then they lose their voice. And they got to come back and be unapologetically themselves and be comfortable with doing the music that they want to do and how they want to do it. You see that with the little Richard. He grew up how he grew up, and then he wanted to make music how he wanted to make music. His music was good, but it was problematic for the time and period he grew up in, but he fought to make the music he made.
When he stole his music. It wasn't problematic all of a sudden.
Yeah. But it's just appreciating, learning the history and appreciating the struggle behind their music and understanding the genius of the artistry.
Right.
It's what gets you to love somebody's music and it, like, or not even love it, but appreciate it, because you probably love it, but to appreciate it more.
Right.
To kind of know.
Let me ask y'all something, because I hear a lot of what older people complain about is a lot of these artists nowadays aren't really musicians. I mean, you have your few that are musicians, but, and when I say musicians, meaning they can play an instrument, you know,
or even sing,
really sing.
So I like that complaint. I've heard a lot from a lot of older people. You know, what do y'all think about that?
It's the same can be said about rappers. It's a lyricist versus somebody just raps.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's valid in a way, but it's not valid across the board, right? I think that depending on the type of music that, like, because as rappers, I don't feel like a rapper needs to know how to play an instrument. There's no purpose in that, right? You know, half of them, not half of them. There's a good chunk of them that don't even write their rhymes, but I think that being able to play an instrument is not necessary in every musical genre. Being able to pick up an instrument should not be a requirement to be an artist. You know, should an artist be able to sing if they're a singer? I mean, that can be debated nowadays. I mean, some of our best singers can't sing, you know, but we love them anyway. You know what I'm saying? Mary J. Blige, great example of that. Right?
Can't sing. I listen.
Can't sing a note to save her life, but
she got some great songs. But she can't sing.
Some of the best songs that people have ever heard, right? So I think that it's one of those things where I think it's totally subjective. If you're into that kind of thing, and that's the kind of musical, you know, genre that you're into, big band, you know, rock and roll, things of that nature, then yeah, go find you somebody who can play an instrument. But being able to play an instrument should not be a requirement to be an artist or to be even a great artist.
Exactly, Brittany. That's a good point too. I feel like how Willie said it. You shouldn't be required to play an instrument, but if you are a singer, you should at least know how to sing. I feel like it's just like, because I don't know, it's something about hearing an artist that can sing. I ain't even gonna sing. I ain't even gonna say sing, but can sing. Their vocal box touches something in your body, in your spirit. Right. Like, that's why you get them people that give you goosebumps, because you just, that talent alone to be able to hit them notes and carry that stuff, like that shit is like. And
to me, it's subjective. It's
subjective, yeah.
It's all subjective, because, you know, I'm pretty sure there's some people out there who y'all think can sing that I don't know if I, like my great grandma, she hated Patty. Not hate. That's a strong word, but
didn't
she
like
hated
Patty
her
Bell.
singing. She hated her singing.
Oh yeah.
She hated her singing.
My mom didn't play. No, my mom didn't.
She's screaming.
Play too much of her. Yeah.
You feel me? And that's why I guess when I hear Fantasia, I hear.
It reminds you of her.
It reminds me of her, and that's why like I never. It's like sometimes I be cringing when I be hearing them sing.
Wow, yeah,
like Fantasia's like people love Fantasia. Yeah, you feel me? Like I would rather have a Jennifer Hudson.
Oh, Jennifer Hudson, Jesus, listen.
You feel me?
And I think
I feel like Mariah, but then when you take Mariah, like I take Mariah and Whitney over most of them because they could sing at different octaves.
Yes.
You feel me? They could sing at totally different octaves. They could hit that super high note, that super long note, and it's like to me that show they range. A lot of these art, like one of my favorite musicians and artists is Alicia Keys.
Oh yeah, she can.
Alicia Keys can
play them.
But she can't hold the candle to them girls when it comes to vocals. You feel me? Not even close. You feel me? What separate her part is her musician and her pen. Because she you know what I mean?
That's like Maya. She can
I was
sing.
never a huge fan of Maya's.
But and that's why I like, and when you see and it's funny because I'm gonna say Moulin Rouge did it for me. Christina Aguilera coming there just set them notes off, and then Pink came in with her shit. Maya came in, they had to give her stay on your level because you can't even come. At least Pink was trying to hang out with Christina, but you listen, and that's why I say I'm thankful for my mother and growing up in the household I did. My mom could sing, so anybody she played, like I'm talking about Whitney, like anybody she played had chops. Like it wasn't like I barely heard Patti LaBelle in my house. I barely heard Mary J in my house. Like we heard Whitney, we heard Natalie Cole. I can go down a list of people that we heard that my mom loved. Even this one group, it was a small group, but it was called Pure Soul. Them motherfuckers could sing.
Yeah, I feel you, Cameron. Like I said, Alicia, out of all the names I just named, Alicia's still my favorite. But when it comes down to singing, like she can't hold the candle to Jennifer Hudson or you know what I mean, or Whitney or Mariah. Like she can't hold the candle. It's not even close.
But yeah, I always say, and people get mad because I always say Mary J. Blige can sing. What the fuck you mean? She can sing. No, she can't. Like y'all heard 911? Y'all heard 911 with Wyclef? Who was that? That was not singing.
Yeah, Mary J. Blige is one of my favorite.
I love her.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite singers. She was hands down my favorite singer for a long time. And so now she's not the number one. I really don't have a number one singer. I just have a group of them, and she's at the top of that group of list.
She can't sing,
but I love her. But I admit it. Yeah, she's not a singer by singing standards, right?
Yeah.
There's singing standards, and then there's people who go and sing, right? And she's just doesn't fit both of those categories, right? She goes and sings, and I love it, but I just feel like it touches me still. I love the
because it's pain in her voice. You can't help with that.
Her voice really amplifies the feeling behind what.
Because real love, come on, bitch. I'm gonna be in that bitch jamming. It's like
shit. Knock Down Cry is one of my favorite.
No. I'm going down. I'm going down when she sung that.
Going down, yes.
Yeah.
I read that shit, but like I love, like I said, that's like to what Clint said. I love Mary J. Blige, but like let's be clear.
I've never been a fan of the singers that scream, like in my opinion.
That's the case. And Mary J. Blige can sing. Female. That means I can sing. I'm just gonna say that.
No, please don't sing, Sonny.
I'm just saying. If Mary J. Blige can sing, then I know I can sing. Like she one of them people that sing at church.
Right. You're all
Mary J. Mary J. a mood.
Yeah, she a whole mood and the vibe and the energy.
Yeah. Like I always say, Sade. Like even though I mentioned her earlier, like we all love Sade, but to be honest with you, like she ain't no great singer. No, I mean she ain't no great singer.
She has a
she has a whole her whole vibe is a wave.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear her, you get relaxed, kind of sexy. You can pour up a little glass of wine.
So before we get out of here, I gotta ask y'all what is your fantasy, dead or alive? Your fantasy versus.
Oh man.
I want to hear Nate Dogg versus somebody.
Nate Dogg versus somebody.
Nate Dogg.
Because even though he was like Nate Dogg could sing, but like he was just a thug. He was a gangster singer. Like he's the only person that could sing that could threaten you, and you'd probably be scared. Like legit be like, but I want to hear Nate Dogg against somebody. I don't know who.
See, my thing with Nate Dogg don't got enough solo songs to really.
He don't, but he can sing.
He can pull from his features.
How about Tyrese?
I guess from his features. But I'm talking about like somebody catalog, like your fantasy catalog against another.
I mean, for me, it'll definitely be Chris Brown versus
Usher.
Maybe Usher.
Oh, that'd be dope too.
Even though I don't feel that Usher could really keep up with Chris Brown on the dancing side. On the dancing side.
No.
Oh, on the dancing
side.
No. Okay.
I don't think Usher could keep up with Chris Brown on the dancing side. But I think that the singing side, or not just the singing, but the catalog of what they would end up probably picking, I think that he could hold his own against Chris Brown. Because I can't see anybody else being able to compete against Chris Brown. The only person who could have probably competed against Chris Brown would have been R. Kelly, right?
No, they don't know.
No. Do anything about the dancing, right?
No, you can't get R. Kelly against Chris Brown.
That's how you feel. I don't even put Chris Brown on that level.
I'm talking about singing catalog, not writing, just singing.
I'm talking about music.
Yeah.
I like not my baby Chris Brown.
You don't think he's one of the better male vocalists of his current era? I mean, who's better than Chris Brown? Let's just ask that question. Who's better than Chris Brown?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's not on Usher level. Like I don't.
I think it'll be no. I don't think they're on the same level because you talk about Usher.
Like you gotta put Usher with Beyonce.
I don't know about
you feel me? Like Usher up there. Like you gotta put Usher like Usher. Like you can't really like Usher got great albums.
See, I think
Chris Brown got great albums.
Now, what name a classic? What's his classic album?
Well, I can't say classic.
Yeah, but I really can't.
But that's what I'm. That's what I see. Camera.
Usher only has one classic album, right? How many?
Which is Confessions, probably. It was Confessions, right?
A701 classic.
A701.
Oh yeah, A701.
That's the only one.
She said Confessions.
I got Confessions though, but I do like Confessions.
I like Confessions. I do
like Confessions.
I think.
But then I forgot about that one. Yeah.
I think I take a classic.
Yeah, like I'll take 8701.
8701, hands down a classic. I would not say Confessions is a classic. No.
So what Chris Brown album you think better than Confessions? That's my point.
No, you're not about to do that to me. That's why I think, from a catalog perspective, that Usher and Chris Brown could be a good match, just because Chris Brown could pull enough songs together to compete against an Usher. Because I can't think of anybody who can compete against Usher on besides somebody that's way above his level, like a Michael Jackson or a.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Beyonce has a couple of classic albums, but I don't know if I really want to hear Beyonce go against an Usher. Like,
I don't want to see her in the bodysuit all day.
I don't feel the competition there, right? I don't know. That's just me, maybe I'm just.
I reason why I say that is because I feel
I'm being too hard on Beyonce.
Beyonce got like her catalog is to me
like it's unquestionably amazing, right?
Yeah, you feel me? That's my thing. My favorite.
Brittany says Beyonce versus Rihanna.
I would like I said dead or alive. So I would want to go Whitney versus Mariah.
Now, okay, so Cameron said Jay-Z versus Wayne or Drake. Now, I know a lot of people would push Drake off the list, but I think the point he's making there, I think is a good point, because I think hit for hit, Drake is definitely up there with Jay-Z. He's now accomplished the same thing.
But hold on, Wayne got some decent ones too.
Consecutive hit albums, for so many years, right? So he's done that. But then Wayne, the lyricist in Wayne, competing against a Jay-Z. I don't know if Jay-Z is really at Wayne's level at that point, because I think Wayne is just an amazing lyricist. Like
I take lyricism. I take Jay-Z over both of them. If we're going to just talk about lyrics, I take Jay-Z over both of them. But when you talking about catalog,
now, Wayne got a lot.
Drake watched both of them.
Oh yeah, Drake.
Yeah.
Drake watched both of them
because he's consecutively done what.
Yeah,
I mean, because Jay-Z has had consecutive, amazing albums, right? In terms of sales and popularity. I think his initial 2 albums, it took him a lot longer, of course, to catch. But after I think the 3rd or 4th album, the trajectory just continued to rise.
Yeah, I think of that to the Hard Knock Life album.
Drake had a Grammy before he had a deal, right? So you're talking about a man who's accomplished so much in such a short amount of time, and his catalog is just amazing, right?
Yeah,
so I think I just know that there's some people who just will dismiss Drake just because he's Drake, and I hate that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I just feel like Drake has a different bag. See, because all Hove bag can go to like when it comes to rapping, neither one of them, in my opinion, are better than Jay.
MJ versus Prince.
MJ versus Prince.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah. Now I see Cameron say Jay has 12 solo platinum albums. We ain't talking about his pen. I ain't talking about his pen or how. Like I said, Drake can pull from a different bag. Drake could just pull some R&B songs out. You know what I mean? Like Jay has to really. If we talk about 20 songs, like Jay got to really be strategic. Because Drake, from over the past 10 to 11 years, has been the #1 artist. Mm-hmm. He took that from his mentor, Wayne. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Because Wayne was on that run. Wayne had superseded Jay as far as popularity in his bag. And then Drake said, "Thank you to both of y'all. I'm gonna just go, I'm gonna go do something totally different with this."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me somebody longer as far as hip hop go who had a longer run.
He's beating the classics right now. He's beating the Beatles. He's beating what's his name? He beat MJ. He beat he's
doing a lot though. He's doing a lot.
A lot, right?
What about 112 versus Jagged Edge?
I'm going 112.
They already did it.
Oh, they did that already?
Yeah, it was literally 112 versus Jagged Edge.
I didn't pay attention to that one. I really didn't.
You named a versus that's already happened. Go check it out.
Oh, I gotta go check it out then, because I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, it was a little sketchy, or not sketchy, a little choppy because of bad internet receptions, but it still went off. People enjoyed it. It was different. It was different.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 songs for 70 songs, man. I think, like you said, Jay-Z would definitely have to be strategic. I mean, I think that for classic albums, Jay's done his thing. For amazing careers, they all have done their thing. The catalog for Lil Wayne is just epic. He's done so many features. I don't even know if there's a good count of them anywhere. I mean, I know it's upwards of 300 something features, on top of his already long, lengthy, album and mixtape catalog. The man writes just crazy writes. And then they've done what they call it. She said Ye versus Jay. I think from a drama standpoint, it would be interesting, but Ye couldn't compete against Jay at all. Unless you're talking about being mismatched with using his productions.
Yeah, that's about it.
Some of Jay-Z songs, right? That's about all he could.
What do you think? What do you think about a beat maker versus like a?
That's what they all. That's how I started. That's how I started.
So who?
Yeah, we just
had
RZA.
Start off with Swiss Beats and Timbaland.
Yeah, Swiss Beats and Timbaland. They
started. I'm surprised. What's the name? They do one. Pharrell.
Yes, we need a Pharrell.
He got some sick ass beats.
Maybe a Pharrell versus Ye.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I think that would be a good one. Pharrell versus Kanye West.
But see, here's where I'm gonna have to go with Ye on that, because Pharrell get a lot of credit for certain beats that the other dude from Neptunes made. Yeah. So like I can't think of his name.
Nobody can think of his name. He's just Pharrell.
But he made a lot of those beats, You feel me? He made a lot of those beats himself. But before we get out of here, since we're talking about verses, my favorite verses is still
Chad Hugo,
exactly. My favorite verses is still DMX and Snoop. And I want to say, you know what I mean? DMX at one point was, you know what I mean, my favorite rapper. And we talk about when Jay was at his peak, DMX was, and you talk about 2000, DMX legitimately was the number one over Jay.
He was the number one artist.
He came and kicked the door open like, bitch, I'm here.
Yeah. So he literally he made 90s hip hop. He made 90s.
And he was the first, I think he was the first rapper to debut his first 5 albums number one. I think the last one, Grand Champ, was the last one that went up. I think he was the first one to do that as far as a rapper go. So like DMX, you know what I mean? Get well soon, my brother. Hope it ain't as critical and as bad as everybody say it is. I heard reports that he's in a vegetative state. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Yeah, it's so much conflicting information.
Yeah, he's still in ICU.
Yeah, so nah, I mean, get well soon, my brother.
Yeah.
Well, let's end this show. Check us out every Monday, 10 p.m. on Twitch, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. Make sure you get at us for the replays on all of the audio playback channels, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play Music. Why don't I keep having Google Play Music there? It's now called Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or watch the videos on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Same links. Also, check out our teespring.com/store/GFT Radio for all of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, masks, hoodies. Did I say t-shirts? Belly packs.
Yeah.
You know, all that
mugs, everything.
Yeah, everything. Or check us out at gftradioshow.com or your favorite social media sites. You can get all the links over there at gftradioshow.com. All of our content is on gftradioshow.com now, so you don't have to go figuring out where to find the content. It's right there on the site. You can watch the videos, you can listen to the audio, you can subscribe to the audio directly from our website. So be sure to check us out and get connected, or join the conversation. Our Join the Conversation group at facebook.com/groups/GFT. Join the Conversation is where you can talk to us, to other people out there who are having a great time discussing all kinds of topics like the ones we were discussing today, as well as having fun with different memes and videos and all that kind of stuff. So come join the conversation. Sunny?
It's your girl, Sunny. I am Sunny _D. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and TikTok. I'm trying to get my number to 1,000. Go follow me there. And check my website, unreservedlyme.com.
What's going on, good people? You already know it's your boy Smooth. Catch me at my blog, kingstruth.com. On Twitter, I'm mainly on at eTrentonGroomy. Snapchat, excuse me. Snapchat at King's Truth. Also, this Thursday, you already know, me and the brother Dane be coming through with the sports show, the Fans Perspective. Check us out. I'm pretty sure y'all love it.
Indeed. And like he said, make sure you go check out Dame. He's over at Another Level Up on IG. He's at Agent D-Lo on Twitter, Shinlo on Twitch, and Agent X Shinlo on Xbox and PSN. Get well, brother. And as always, it's your boy Willie Styles in the building. Make sure you check me out at Willie Styles everywhere. IG, Twitter, TikTok. I'm Willie.Styles on Snapchat. Visit me over at stylesradio.com. For all the hot tracks that I'm listening to, or check out my williestyles.info for all my links. All right. It's been another great show, another great night. And everybody stay safe, stay well. I'll let y'all in a few days.
Hey guys, it's your girl Sunny D, 1/3 of the podcast GFT Radio Show.
What up, though? It's your boy Willie Styles from the GFT Radio Show. Just letting you know you can catch us every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern.
And to get some merch, I got some on right now. Go to teespring.com/stores/GFT Radio.
Grown Folk Talk Radio. Join the conversation. Let's have some fun. Holla.